Wanderers, the signal tonight does not speak in its usual tongue. It bends, it twists, and settles into the voice of highways, truck stops, and diners glowing under neon light. The ghosts that linger here are born of America's roads, and so the frequency answers in kind. Listen closely. The tale you are about to hear has been told at gas stations and campfires, whispered in the back seats of cars, and carried in the hum of engines that never rest. It is a story of strangers who appear on the roadside, only to vanish when the journey ends. They call it the Vanishing Hitchhiker.
Picture a two-lane highway after midnight. The storm has thinned to a mist. Your wipers click a tired rhythm. You pass a roadside cross with faded ribbons, then another, and another. White flowers catching your high beams for a heartbeat before darkness swallows them whole. That's when you see her. She stands at the edge of the shoulder, dress clinging with rain, one arm raised against the glare. Young, cold, not quite shivering. She doesn't wave wildly or run. She just waits, the way somebody waits who has stood there a very long time. You pull over because the road is empty, and the rain feels like guilt. She opens the passenger door with a careful hand, as if trying not to wake someone who's sleeping. Her voice is small. "Thank you." You turn the heater up, offer your jacket. She takes it, smiles with her eyes, and says a name you don't recognize. A neighborhood, a gate, a curve in the road where the wind always smells like wet leaves. You drive. You ask if she's okay. She says, "Almost." Headlights smear over slick asphalt. The radio can't hold a station. Stations can't hold a song. You pass the curve she described, the grove she remembered, the iron gate she promised. And when you glance toward the passenger seat to ask if this is it, there's only your jacket, heavy with rain, folded around an absence. You stop anyway. You walk up to the gate because it feels rude not to. Beyond it, a small cemetery, a name on stone that matches the one she gave you. The date below it is tonight. Only many years ago. The Vanishing Hitchhiker is one of the most widespread ghost stories in the world. It isn't tied to one country or one century. It's something older, a universal echo, retold wherever there are roads, travelers, and strangers who pass in the night. In the United States, she is often a young woman who died tragically, sometimes in a car accident on prom night, sometimes walking home after a dance. She's picked up by an unsuspecting driver, only to vanish before reaching her home. One of the most famous examples is Resurrection Mary, said to haunt Archer Avenue near Chicago's Resurrection Cemetery. Since the 1930s, dozens of drivers have reported picking her up, a quiet blonde girl in a white dress who asks to be dropped off near the cemetery gates. When the car slows, she disappears, melting back into the night. But she is far older than American highways. Similar stories appear in Europe long before the age of automobiles. In England and Ireland, the tale was told of travelers on horseback who encountered weeping women dressed in white, asking for help to return home, only to vanish as the rider reached a graveyard. Medieval sermons even warned parishioners of such spirits. Priests described them as wandering souls, trapped between purgatory and heaven, seeking the prayers of the living to guide them onward. These weren't just frightening tales. They were moral lessons, teaching compassion for strangers and reminding people that death was always close, often closer than one dared to think. Across the Pacific, the stories shift, but the theme remains. In Hawaii, she is Pele, the goddess of volcanoes, appearing as a beautiful woman in need of a ride. Taxi drivers claim to have picked her up, only for her to vanish near the slopes of Kilauea. Unlike her Western sisters, Pele isn't always a warning of sorrow. Sometimes she tests the kindness of strangers. Those who offer help find themselves blessed with safety, while those who ignore her are said to invite disaster. In Hawaiian culture, the hitchhiker isn't a random ghost, but a manifestation of something divine, a reminder that gods and spirits still walk among people, testing whether humanity remembers humility and generosity. It turns the tale into a story of values, not just fear. In Mexico and South America, the figure takes on darker tones. There, she becomes La Llorona, the weeping woman. Though not always a hitchhiker, she lingers near roads, rivers, and bridges, crying for the children she drowned. Drivers speak of her stepping into the road or climbing silently into cars, her sobbing filling the vehicle until, like all her kin, she vanishes before reaching her destination. Her story carries the weight of grief and morality. She is both villain and victim, cursed to wander for eternity. For families in Latin America, her tale is used to warn children not to wander near rivers or stray from home. Yet at its heart, it is the same archetype, a restless spirit caught between worlds, searching for what was lost. Even in Asia, the figure walks the roads. In the Philippines, tales are told of white ladies appearing along highways, long-haired women in flowing gowns who flag down rides or appear suddenly in rearview mirrors. In Japan, the vanishing traveler sometimes appears as a samurai who died on campaign, bowing respectfully before dissolving into mist. Every version, whether in America, Europe, or Asia, carries the same core: a lost soul attempting to complete a journey it never could in life. Some appear innocent and sorrowful, others terrifying, but all vanish before the end of the ride. Though the vanishing hitchhiker is most often remembered as a woman in white, the stories do not always wear the same face. Her figure changes, her voice shifts, and at times, it is not a woman at all who steps onto the road. The feminine version is the most familiar. She is young, often beautiful, her dress pale or glowing, her silence unnerving. She is the lost bride, the girl who never made it home from the dance, the daughter separated from her family by tragedy. These stories reflect not only fear, but sorrow, a recognition of lives cut short, of futures never lived. In America, Resurrection Mary is joined by dozens of other white ladies across highways from New Jersey to Texas. In Ireland, she is seen on country lanes, her cry mistaken for a banshee's wail. In Latin America, she takes the form of La Llorona, her grief spilling into every river, her footsteps echoing across every bridge. In each case, she embodies vulnerability, tragedy, and the dangers of the night. But the archetype does not belong to women alone. In many cultures, men too walk the roads, their presence different, but just as haunting. In Scandinavian tales, vanishing hitchhikers are soldiers, appearing late at night along remote roads. They ask for rides, often politely, sometimes silently, but always vanish before their destination. In these stories, the figure represents sacrifice, the memory of war, and the weight of those who never returned home. In England, drivers have told of picking up men in military uniforms who request to be dropped near barracks or memorials, only to disappear before the car arrives. In Hawaii, Pele is joined by tales of ghostly fishermen, wandering roads with nets slung over their shoulders. And in rural America, some hitchhikers appear as ordinary men, farmers, fathers, even clergymen, who vanish with a message, a warning, or sometimes a blessing. The gender divide is telling. The women are often mourned, their deaths wrapped in sorrow and injustice. The men are remembered as duty-bound, symbols of service and unfinished journeys. Both archetypes speak to what haunts us most: grief for what was lost, and respect for what was sacrificed. And yet, no matter the form they take, their role remains the same: to remind travelers that the road is never truly empty, that the past lingers just behind us, waiting for a ride back into memory. Legends are one thing, but stories like these survive because people swear they've lived them. Some encounters vanish as quickly as they happen, but others leave behind names, dates, even records. And when the road is long and the night is quiet, these cases echo louder than most. Case 1. Resurrection. Mary, Chicago. In the 1930s, Chicago's Archer Avenue became famous for one figure: Resurrection Mary. She was said to be a young woman who loved dancing, but died tragically in an automobile accident after a night out. Since then, countless drivers, from cabbies to soldiers on leave, have reported picking up a young blonde girl in a white dress. She asked to be taken home, but when the car passed the Resurrection Cemetery, she always vanished. Some drivers claimed she left the faint smell of roses. Others swore they saw her handprints burned into the cemetery's wrought iron gates. Case 2. Union Soldier, England. Across the Atlantic, on England's misty country roads, a man in uniform is said to appear. A driver, traveling late, sees him by the roadside. Cap low, coat buttoned tight, boots caked with mud. The soldier climbs in, gives directions to a nearby village or barracks. But when the car arrives, the seat is empty. For some, he is a World War I casualty, trying to find his way home. For others, he is older still, a shadow of the English Civil War, wandering roads that were once battlefields. Case 3. Hawaii's Hitchhiker of Pele. On the islands of Hawaii, some tell of picking up a mysterious hitchhiker, a woman dressed in white, sometimes elderly, sometimes young. She says little, but if the driver offers respect, she rewards them. Many locals believe this hitchhiker is Pele, the goddess of fire, disguised in human form. But if the driver disrespects her, their journey takes a darker turn. Tires burst, engines fail, and the driver finds themselves stranded under the volcano's shadow. Case 4. Telly Savalas, Long Island, 1963. Perhaps the most famous modern encounter belongs not to a wandering soul, but to a Hollywood star. Actor Telly Savalas, long before Kojak made him famous, told a story that shook even the skeptics. It was 1963. Savalas was driving on Long Island when his car ran out of gas. Stranded, he began walking. Soon, a stranger in a black car pulled over. The man offered him a ride to a gas station. He was polite, well-dressed, and introduced himself as Harry Aganis. The stranger insisted on lending Savalas money for gas, telling him not to worry about repayment. Savalas took it reluctantly, promising to pay him back. A few days later, he tried to return the money. But when he found the address, he was told Harry Aganis had been dead for over 2 years.
The voice of the hitchhiker fades, but the signal does not end where her footsteps vanish. Across oceans and ages, wanderers, the story repeats, a figure at the roadside, a hand raised in silence, a request for a ride that carries no destination. Perhaps they're all the same echo, shaped differently by each land. Or perhaps the signal itself binds them together, threads of grief, loss, and longing, carried from one world to the next. Do not mistake these tales for simple warnings. They are markers on the road between the living and the lost. If you follow them closely enough, you may discover the road was never empty, and that you were never driving alone. The frequency weakens now, slipping back into the static, but others are waiting, in forests, in rivers, in shadows. They too will ask for your attention when the signal bends again. Stay close, wanderers. Keep listening. The midnight ghost signal endures, and it will find you again.